Hello and welcome to 1861, the North Central College podcast. Our guest on episode 5 is Dr. Vicki Williams, Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students. For many in our audience, that might be a somewhat new name because this is a new person on our campus. Delighted to have Vicki on the podcast. Vicki, welcome.
Thank you so much. I've been telling everyone I'm so excited not only to be here at North Central, but to be a part of this podcast. So I'm excited for our conversation.
And I am as well. Vicki, of course, this is an opportunity for our audiences to meet you, to get to know you. It's also an opportunity to share some information about life as a student on campus. And we'll get there. We'll have that as part of our conversation today. But I thought it might be helpful if I start out by asking you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Absolutely. I love this part to kick things off. So one thing that I want to share is that I am new to the area. I moved here in June, started this position July 1. Have never been to Naperville, Illinois. So here I am starting a whole new venture and could not be more excited. I am originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I came here from Norfolk, Virginia. And I had spent 20 years in Virginia before arriving here. So not only am I going to experience a climate change shortly.
You have a winter coat ready?
I've been telling everyone I'm trying to get myself mentally prepared for the city. And then, of course, I need to purchase things that are appropriate for the winter. So I'm going to work through that.
And let the record show that you and I do live close together. And I am on the hook. The first snowfall, I am your ride to campus.
That is an official breaking news moment because it's so factual. It is so factual. So I would say fun things to know about me. A native of Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, avid sports fan, all things Cleveland sports, but I love a good fall football game any given day. And I am a proud first gen student as well. So gotta give a shout out to my first gens.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. As am I. I'm a first gen. So that program certainly holds some fondness in my heart as well. Where did you go to school? Where did you do your undergraduate degree? Where did you do your graduate degrees? Tell us about those experiences.
Oh, yes. Life as a student. So my undergraduate career, I went to Kent State University, completed a bachelor's in individual and family studies with a minor in psychology. Then I continued on also with a graduate assistantship. So this entered the footprint of higher ed for me. Started as an RA and then continued. But my master's from Kent State as well, a master's in education, concentration in community counseling. And then took a break, raised family, all that good stuff, got some work life experience, and then returned to school full time while working full time. Mm-hmm. Did my PhD at Regent University. I have a doctoral degree in organizational leadership with a research focus in followership behaviors.
So what did you learn in that program, and how do you translate that to the work you do as the Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students on our campus?
Absolutely. So when I think about the fun version, I would say, of followership behaviors, it's all about being able to identify purpose and motivation. And I think that that's applicable whether I am thinking about how to center that conversation around staff members who have to reconnect with their why, or whether it's around students who are trying to identify what's their why, what's their purpose, what's their motivation. And then those are the things that you center yourself to follow, which may result in you being motivated, being able to, I would say, indulge in some experiences so that you have some lived experiences to verify if that's really your path and calling. And so those are the ways that I think about that when we are in this position, student life, higher ed professionals, trying to create opportunities for students to explore, to cultivate experiences and memories. And we do that through our program offerings, whether that's through events or our services. We're trying to create a moment not only that is memorable, but it's an opportunity to build relationships and connections.
Thank you, Vicki. That's really insightful, and I hope that students who are on our campus or maybe on our campus someday take that to heart. That finding a calling is, in many ways, it's a process, right?
It is a journey. It is a journey. And through that journey, there's the ebbs and flow of life. Sometimes there's an opportunity to fail, but you learn quickly from failure. You know, that resiliency develops, you thicken the skin, you create new paths and ways to navigate a space to get to a finish line. That's what drives you, you know, and I think about how we create those moments in a campus footprint. So that, you know, hey, for some students, maybe just simply being a part of a club or organization was their first time to be in leadership or to be a member of something that had a purpose driven by the scope of the organization. So many times we are the beginning moments for students to plant seeds of an experience.
Yeah, thank you. You obviously had a calling. Here you are in higher education, in a leadership role for a campus with a little over 3,000 students. When did that calling occur, and how has that evolved for you?
Oh, goodness. So let's go on a little journey back because I've been in the field now for almost 30 years.
Yes.
And when I first started, it really was my resident assistant experience. I was an RA at Kent State University, learned a lot about the behind the scenes workings of higher ed professionals. It's one of those fields where you don't know it exists until you're living in it. And before that experience, I thought I was on my way to be a counselor in the community. That was the aspiration. But I got at that point, you know, being able to still make impactful moments and experiences in the lives of individuals, whether they were students or staff. When you think about the essence of counseling, being able to help folks navigate uncertainty, I think that there's opportunities here that has always been centered around, I'm still in a helping profession. It just shows up differently. I would also say because I'm a little non-traditional, considering I didn't follow a higher ed track just based on the scope of my education. But my work experience has always been centered in higher education. So it allows me to have perspective.
And an opportunity to serve as a mentor for our students as well.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that there's that formal opportunity to serve as a mentor and then the informal. And I find that many times in the informal space, that's where you get the most robust connections because you were just open to be available, you know, and then the relationships just start organically. I think over my 30 years, what I've enjoyed most is when you get that random call or text from someone from years ago who's had an opportunity to reflect. And it's just their way of giving back by saying, thank you, or do you remember this? Or here's a photo of us when, you know, and at this stage in my career, I'm starting to get photos of folks with kids and their children. Yeah. So you're like, okay, your little one is now coming in as a freshman.
Those are the photos that hurt a little bit.
A little bit. You're like, oh my goodness.
Yes, it's true.
But it's a joy because those are those moments when, you know, you didn't necessarily have to be a part of that circle, but they invited you in. So it's always special.
It is. It certainly is. Thank you for sharing that. So Vicki, tell us, what is your vision for the student life experience at North Central?
You know, what I'm working towards with the team, and I would say the campus community, because this is not something you can do in a bubble by any means. The student experience at an institution really starts from the first point of contact, from being a prospective student, trying to figure out if this will be their home. And then once they've made that decision, it's our opportunity to give them all the reasons why they made the right choice. And so
Hmm.
when I think about developing or enhancing the student experience here at North Central, we have so many good moments to build on. First, I think about community that already exists. There are so many rich stories here just in my 2 months where individuals talk about they were a part of the community as a student and they're still a part of the community as whether they're a community member or they're a part of the faculty and staff. That's letting me know that there was some richness here that folks were like, I don't want to let this go. And I want to be able to build those opportunities for students as well. So we create the outside of the classroom experience. That's part of the vision. How do we complement that? Co-curricular experience, because the faculty are here and they're making that engaging moment based on their discipline. And we want to create those opportunities where memories are made outside of the classroom. So our programs and service offerings help students to do just that. Clubs and organizations, I want to see that be a more robust opportunity for students to find their why and their purpose. I would love to see more memory opportunities made. So when we talk about we got a homecoming experience coming up really soon, or we have the latest athletic event, those are those memories where 15, 20 years from now, those students can say, remember we went to that game and this moment or that moment happened. I want to be able to work with the campus community to make more of that. I would say one other thing that happens in creating the student experience vision is I think about making sure that folks understand what are the other things that we provide. Like when a student is on a journey to get to that point where they become an alum, there are so many moments that could be a moment of learning how to be a leader. So whether they was a member of one of our clubs and organizations and they learned leadership skills. There's those moments where we create opportunities for students to learn how to navigate hard times. Maybe they've connected with our counseling center or support services to get over the hump of a moment, built that resiliency and was still able to march forward to complete that degree. And then we celebrate that, along the way. And I think about the way that we help to create a culture of care. And that's just simply in how we have students understand that they also have an active responsibility in the community. Like community doesn't just happen. It is very active. How you engage, how you show up, how you care for others. Do you smile when you're walking by? Give that warm hello. That's active participation and being a part of the North Central community and wanting them to engage just as that.
So I think you touched on it a little bit, Vicki, but um, the real vision for your area is the experience outside of the classroom. But there's a bridge there, right? There's a connection between the classroom and what happens outside of the classroom. How does that work? And what might a student expect on a campus like ours?
Yeah, so one example of the ways that work, there is lots of research that supports the outcome you get when you put together faculty and student engagement. And that's a way to bridge not only what's happening inside the classroom, but that outside the classroom experience. So one tangible, when I think about our clubs and organizations, many of our clubs and organizations are led by advisors. And those advisors are faculty and staff members who have lived experiences in those unique moments that they can share with those students. And that's just one way that you bridge that in classroom and out of classroom experience related to that faculty student engagement opportunity. I think about that even in mentoring. And a campus of this size, there are so many lived moments when students are building intentional relationships. I think that's one of the things that makes North Central very special. Based on our size, the opportunity to make those meaningful connections just magnify. And those are those moments where just by off chance, a faculty member might talk about a research opportunity and then a student engages in that. And now they're somewhere at a conference sharing through their poster board demonstration or their research outcome that they've made that bridge. And that's more than the discipline that's happening in the classroom. And so, how do we create more of those moments? But I see that as the sweet spot. I'll give you one that's sometimes a little bit off the beaten path as well.
Yeah.
Student employment on campus is another moment where
Yes.
you amplify the ability for students to have lived learning experiences while on our campus footprint. And
Yeah.
so when I think about the students who are working in our office spaces and they are learning some life skills, they're building the resume, but they are also making network connections because they're working so close with staff and administrators. Just that alone puts them in a different opportunity for that networking. And so I never underestimate the power of student employment and the role that it plays on campus. And I see a lot of student workers around campus, whether they show up as orientation advisors, they're working at our front desk, they're at our cafeteria, wherever their interests may lie. That is connection in the most informal, formal manner that goes a long way.
And that experience makes a huge difference in their professional journey, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you go on an interview, you got to have something to talk about,
Right.
right?
Yep. Absolutely.
And for a student be able to lean into the co-curricular to say, not only do I know the materials that my faculty have been able to enhance my knowledge, now I can apply it because I was in a club or organization, or I had a student leadership role, or I was working in the office and I was managing some levels of concerns that was within my scope of possibility, that applicable moment where they can apply what they learn to a lived experience, I think just elevates their ability to be marketable.
It does. You mentioned earlier student organizations. And so, in addition to employment, getting involved beyond going to class and living on campus or living off campus and commuting to campus, getting involved makes a difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We frame it as building your co-curricular transcript, right?
Yes.
But getting involved is just that. It gives you the ability to apply your lived experiences, whether that's in a club or organization, you're meeting your lifelong friends, you're networking. Add 5 years to a moment, those individuals might be at our next Fortune 500 and they'll say, how did the two of you meet? And they're like, we were in student government together, And so it's the planting of the seeds of those opportunities for students. And I think that that's at the core of what I mean when I say creating opportunities for experiences, memories, and that's part of the vision setting. That brings you back to the why are we doing this program? Why are we offering this service? It really dictates the footprint of how we shape not only the student experience, but what we're hoping our staff bring to the table in terms of doing the heavy lifting to create the moment.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Let's shift gears just a little bit, and for students venturing out, going to college, preparing their co-curricular transcript, preparing their resume, that's a part of the process. But we want students to have a good time as well. And so, what is there to do evenings, weekends? What's your vision for that out of your area for our students?
Yes, what I'm hoping for when you think about time of delivery for your programs and services. So we have a captive audience, being that we have a residence life a department here on campus where students are living on. And so for those students, evening and weekends matter because they're here and they're trying to build new life outside of wherever home may have been. This is the new home.
Yes.
For them. And so the way that we offer things to do so that they want to be here, they want to stay on campus. I think that that's the most important moment that we can drive for our residential students. So when we leave as administrators at 4:30 when or whatever that time may be, that doesn't mean campus life stops. Actually, it just means we transition to how we use our space in the evening hours so that the students have appropriate places to study, to eat, to gather, to hang out. So that becomes the fun of it all. But also not forgetting that they probably need to hit the library and a couple other
Yes.
places too,
Yeah.
right? To
Yes,
support
of course.
to support the holistic journey. Um, for them. So I do think about that. I also think about other populations that may not be as set in where they are, like a residential student, like our commuter population. When we think about our events and program offerings for them, I think it's important for us to think about the time of delivery because that group is so transient. They're coming in and you want them to stay as long as possible. They're coming through traffic and all of those things. So while they're here in between, do we have the comfortable places so that they can relax, so that they can grab a bite to eat, so that we can have some pop-in events where we're not necessarily asking them to go home and come back through the traffic. That may not be ideal for them. So we have to capture them while they're here. So that will cause us to put the delivery of our program offerings at different points of time that may not be in the traditional time set of like our business hours for the institution.
Vicki, I appreciate you making that point. There's a reality that a significant number of students commute to our campus, and we want them to feel a part of the campus community.
Absolutely. This is about, I won't go deep into theoretical framework. However, there's framework behind the madness. And so you think about the things out there that tells us that building a sense of belonging, meaning that students feel connection, they feel value, they feel seen, and you use that information to help craft the best delivery of your program and service offerings for students. And then that cultivates the desire for the student to feel like I have a prideful place to be. I am a part of North Central community. I am North Central. That's the goal.
Any community has a focus on well-being, wellness. And so how does your area, how do you lead to support the physical and mental well-being of our students?
Yeah, I think this is where you think about, obviously we have a wonderful program offering through our Dyson Center where you can get your counseling and your health services and things of that nature. But we also have, in addition to that, there's an opportunity to educate students about their wellness and well-being because it's a very active moment where you're educating them on how to be self-sufficient in the process, right? So that they know where are the services, where are the resources. So when I need to lean into them, I know that they exist. So a big part of our footprint is to elevate the educational awareness of what we have to offer. The other piece to this is, which I hold very dear to my heart, is the ability to connect with students to listen from their perspective. What is it that they feel we are missing? Or what is it that they feel they enjoy and they want more of it? And I think that helps us to navigate what we offer or what we add or sometimes what we sunset so we can be in tune with what the needs of the students are. And the only way we can get there is to spend time with them. You can't get there without hearing from them directly. And so for me in my role, I think about the need to be visible, the need to be in the spaces where the students are and opening up opportunities for dialogue so that we can bring those pieces of information into our conversations when we're having administrative meetings to figure out what to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's take a look at all of this in a holistic sense. Imagine the student is walking across the stage as a North Central graduate. How do you think North Central has prepared that student for life after college? And what role do you hope that you and your team have played in that?
Yeah. When you get to that point of commencement, I think that's a time of reflection, not only for the students, but I think it's true for us as faculty and staff when we are a part of that experience for them to walk that stage. I think we're all in a reflective mode. I, I hope from the students' moment of reflection that they're able to think back up to a point where whether it was a faculty or staff member that made impact during their journey, whether we celebrated with them during that process. Maybe they're reflecting on their opportunity to have been a student leader, student government, an RA like myself. I'm still reflecting on an experience from over 30 years ago, but it's very prominent in the way that I show up in this space. And I hope that when students walk across the stage for North Central, that they're thinking about a moment such as that. Maybe it was a moment with one of our advisors or a staff member that really had a conversation with them when things weren't going so well, and it made the difference for them to stick it out and stay. Maybe it was a relationship that when all else failed, they knew that they can go to a Jim Godo in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And connect and just have a conversation. And that's when our titles don't matter. It's the
Right.
human perspective
Correct.
that really matter. It was the relationship that mattered. So I hope that we are building those types of moments for students. And I think for the staff, when I think about commencement moments, I think about the staff and faculty. We're reflecting too, because I can think of times when I was just like, we made it, like we made it together to help a student get to that finish line, because everyone's journey is different. Some are really fighting to get to that finish line. Others may be flying to the finish line, but we're all a part of that. And so that's what I'm hoping for when we are reflective in a space for a commencement ceremony.
Yeah. I can hear the passion in your there's a reason that you do this kind of work. So you do this work, you think about this work often, but there have to be moments where you're away from North Central, even for just a few minutes. What do you enjoy doing when you have those moments?
Okay. The truth of the matter is, I love a good nap.
That's fantastic.
I really do. I love a good nap. Most people ask me like, "What have you do? What you do for the weekend?" And then I think they're expecting something very robust, and then I say, "I had no plans, and it was wonderful."
Yes.
And I got a great nap in. And so, a time with family always goes a long way with me. But yeah, that's usually what I end up telling folks.
That's that's great. There's something rather collegiate about a good nap, isn't there? Come on.
Look, it brings me joy. It brings me joy. I just will tell you that.
Yes. Um, so, Vicki, what surprised you about North Central, or what has surprised you so far?
I'm going to go with so far because, as I mentioned, I'm about 2 months in and it's been a wonderful ride so far. So, couple things that surprised me:
Yeah.
how many individuals have so much collective knowledge about the institution. So,
Yes.
one fun moment I could describe, I'm going to talk about my buddy Jim Miller.
Yes.
Listen.
Senior Director of Athletics, Jim Miller.
Yes. So I was headed over to his office, had a whole tour, and it was really a historical tour because
Yeah.
I'm talking random dates. Did I know the first when the first building arrived, like the details? So that for me was a moment. So I just got to give a shout out to to Jim Miller and his historical knowledge about the institution. But it doesn't stop there, because then as I've been learning my colleagues, I spent time with Mike Hudson, and
Yes.
we're in a car and we're touring around.
Yes.
And just like Miller, the historical perspective about the institution with pride, with joy, comes in the voice and the way that it's being articulated, and you're going on a journey.
Yes.
in those conversations. And so for me, that has centered me around the surprise moment was just how deeply valued community and connection to the institution goes. So when you see, for example, alum coming back or serving on the board, or I run into a community member because I have on a t-shirt, and the reaction of those individuals when they mention North Central, like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's there are a lot of people who care deeply about the institution, and you've sensed that in just a couple of short months.
Yeah, and it's very genuine. It is very genuine, and I love that. I love it.
Yeah. So, playing off of that, then, what's your first memory of North Central? And Vicki, that's a question that we ask everybody on the podcast. Another way for us to get to know people a little bit differently. And so you're relatively new, so you don't
Yeah.
have quite the same arsenal of memories. But I still want to know what's your first memory of North Central,
Okay, I got two stories I want to share.
please.
Okay, so one, during my interview process, there is a point where, as a candidate, they take you to dinner.
Yes.
And my hosts, I had two wonderful hosts. So, Aggie, our vice president for enrollment. And then I had a wonderful faculty member who was also my host, and that's Carl Kelly.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So we have dinner with two students, and somehow we have this wonderful, wild conversation at the table, and we all decide that we're going to have a shared experience with each other.
Okay.
And so we decided that we will order something very unique off the menu.
Mm.
Now, I have a rule: if I try something new that's a little out of my comfort zone, that I am willing to take at least one bite.
Okay.
So I can expand my palate, so to speak.
Yes.
Well, that night we decided to have spicy octopus.
Uh-oh. Ah, okay.
Let me tell you, I felt like I was living on the edge because I was like, I'm not sure, but I'm going to stick to my one bite rule and I'm going to stop right there. So we enjoyed spicy octopus together. Now, see, that's a formed memory in a moment.
It is.
Like that. And those are the type of things I hope we could create for students. Like, you got to go back and tell that story.
Well, you do, and that's what we want every student to do: get a little out of their comfort zone, right?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And if all else fails, try a little bit of octopus.
Try a little bit. So my other quick one, I'll give you one last one.
Please,
One quick
please
one.
do. Yeah, please do.
During my tour, because that's also part of the process. So I was on tour, and I had a student tour guide. So they told me that the brick path, they was like, this is the spine. Can't get lost if you stay on the spine. I said, okay, great. So we're walking, and eventually we stopped at the Res Rec building.
Yes.
And that building design is very unique. In my 30 years, I had not seen a resident community such as that. And I've been a part of various campuses where we were, in product design, and we've built new residential communities, but I've never seen one like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wait till you see commencement.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait.
That's that is the building that hosts our commencement, and I always marvel at it. Even though I've seen it for many times now, I still marvel at how that works in that space.
That's a unique space, and so that one stood out. So on my flight back after all of my activities, that was one that I was still talking about. I was like, I've never seen a design such as that. Very unique. Definitely something that caught my eye.
Those are some great first memories, Vicki. Thank you for sharing. And Vicki, believe it or not, we've come to the end of our time for
Stop
today.
It.
Started. We have. Yes, absolutely. We have. Yes.
Oh my gosh, where did the time go?
It's what a delight. Vicki, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your vision, experiences. My hope is that it continues to be an inspiration for students who are here now and students who might be here someday, and that all of our audiences can feel very proud of what we're doing here from a student life perspective. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
I enjoyed every bit of it, and thank you for the invitation.
Dr. Vicki Williams, Vice President for Student Life, Dean of Students, from resident assistant at Kent State to the VP chair at North Central College. What a joy. Episode 5 of the podcast. Vicki, once again, thank you. Have a great fall semester and have a great long tenure here at North Central College. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is 1861, the North Central College podcast. We're grateful for Vicki being on the show today. We look forward to having a big audience and people being able to hear everything that Vicki had to say. So thanks for listening. Once again, 1861, the North Central College podcast.